Grace and peace, beloved. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Johnson. I am the Chief Strategy Officer here at the CDC of Tampa. We are so fortunate and grateful to have your presence with us as you're watching our podcast this month. We're very fortunate to have this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So whatever social media is acquired in your life, you can find this podcast. Today, I'm interviewing one of my best friends. When I mean best, we haven't known each other a long time. But you know, whenever God allows you to connect with people and the chemistry is there and their spirit is right, it is always a great moment and time whenever you can share with them. So she's not going to like for me to do this, but I'm going to do it because I call people by their whole name. Today, we are interviewing Joanna Janae Lanice Colbert. Joanna is a realtor and the COO of Allure Realty. She is also the owner of the Sip Room in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and she was a cast member of the real estate show on Netflix, Selling Tampa. So I'm grateful to have Joanna. Joanna, good morning.
Good morning to you, and thank you for that lovely introduction. However, he did not tell me he was going to say my whole name, and I don't share that with everyone.
And he's not going to edit it out either. Keep going.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Thank you for having me. And I love the introduction. It's almost like, what was it? American Express, everywhere you want to be. Y'all on every social media platform.
Everywhere. We want everybody to know what's going on.
I love it.
Listen, I know we only have a few moments with you. You have so many incredible things that's happening in your life. And I think one of the phenomenal things is that you're looking at how can you take what you love to do to impact other people. So just tell us a little bit, first of all, before we get into Allure Realty, before we start talking about the development projects, talk to us about where you come from. Where are you from? You're not from Florida.
No.
Tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I'm what they say a valley girl, right? But when my parents divorced when I was 10, we moved to Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio, to be frank. That's where my mother is from, so I lived there until I was 18. Then I was very independent. I had my son very young, and I decided I wanted to move to Indianapolis, and so I did that. And
how old is your son?
My son, wow.
No. I want to be very careful and clear about what I'm saying. She said she had a son very young.
I was
want
17.
you to hear you were 17?
Yes.
But I gave you the introduction of all of the things that she's done. That shows someone who's an overcomer, that just because something happened early in life, it doesn't mean it has to be a deterrent to what doesn't happen going forward in your life. So I know we joke a lot, but I wanted to celebrate you in that moment of being a teenage mom and where you are now.
Yes. I appreciate that because it was not easy, but I'm reaping the benefits right now. I don't have to worry about daycare and finding someone to watch my son so I can go somewhere or so. But it definitely was a challenge. But yes, so I lived in Indianapolis and then I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. That was where I got my start in with economic development. So my whole background has a role with real estate involved in it, right? And then I got an opportunity to move to Houston and then North Carolina and then Florida. Okay. So here I am.
So talk to us a little bit more about your roles in economic development. What's your passion behind helping other people?
Well, really, it's two things. I'm going to be honest. Yes, it's a passion, but it was something that, as I said, I have my son, so I had to do something to make money for my son and I. And that was a bona fide career path that I had no idea existed. What happened when I graduated college, my professor knew a girl that was the director for economic development and said that they were looking for a coordinator, and my professor suggested me. And so I started off as a coordinator in economic development. I was more admin, but then I learned, I worked my way up, and by the time that I left Charlotte, that's when I got the promotion to be a senior project manager in Houston.
Yes.
Then from Houston, I got a chance to be a director of economic development. And then I was vice president of economic development. And then I was interim president for about 5 months. So it just kind of transitioned based on opportunity meets preparation, right? I always knew that I had to work hard and to make a way for my son and I always did.
And praise God for that. And so now you're in Florida. You bring that experience to you. How do you get connected to Allure Realty?
So a good question. My ex-husband is military, and thank you for your service as well. I'm aware that you're military, and I really welcomed the opportunity that he introduced me to Sherelle, because Sherelle's retired military.
I didn't know
So
that. What branch?
Army.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
she spent 13 years in the Army.
Okay.
And when I first moved here, we ended up meeting each other out, and my ex introduced us, and we became friends.
Wonderful.
And at the time, she was still in the military, but she also had just received her real estate license. And she was with another company, and she said, I'm going to start my own company, so whenever you get your real estate license, you're going to come to Allure. And she didn't know that was going to be the name at the time, but Allure. So we did exactly what we said. As soon as I got my license and she left her brokerage and started the new one, Allure, I came and worked for her.
So you were the first person there with her?
I was not the first, but I was one of the first.
Got it.
So I think when she first started, I probably was like the fourth agent. One of her neighbors came to work under Allure, and a couple other girls. I was like the fourth one, I believe. Yeah.
Amazing.
And it just happened. Probably about 6 months after that, then we got the opportunity with Selling Tampa.
So it was a fairly new organization.
Yes,
Okay.
brand new. When we did Selling Tampa, I think we were in existence for maybe 2 years. I don't even think it was a full 2 years.
Okay. How was that experience, being in a reality TV show, doing something that you love to do? I'm not for sure if it's scripted or what. I'm not for sure how that works. But how was that experience for you?
It was amazing. I think it was something new. It wasn't easy, but I think it was a great opportunity for all of us. We didn't know what we didn't know, right? It wasn't even anything we ever said we were going to do. The opportunity presented itself, and so we had to conform to it. And I think that's what we did, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It gave us a platform which we had never dreamed of having, exposure. Of course, there's always negative with positivity, but overall, I wouldn't change anything. It was great.
If you're watching this is August 2024, and August is Black Business Awareness Month. And the whole entire purpose of this show is to highlight Black businesses. And so Joanna, as being a leader of a Black business and a real estate agent, they're doing something very phenomenal in Hillsborough County. Talk to us a little bit about the new opportunities that's coming forward through your real estate company for development in Tampa.
Absolutely. So we talked about doing some development, Sherelle and I, a couple years ago. Some was a little bit of government contracts because of her background in the military. And she's like, Joanna, we're going to start going after government contracts. I said, okay, I'm down with it. And we started doing a lot of research. We started the government contract company. And we won a couple smaller government contracts. But then we were like, we're going to start doing construction, because businesses are looking for minority, service disabled, women-owned businesses. And so we had those set-asides, those certifications. So it's very important to get your certifications because that really can set you apart when you are applying for things. So we did that, and we actually went after a couple government VA facilities to construct. Now, those are very long processes, and we're actually still in the process of waiting to see if we win one. And when I say big, it is a big one. It's an investment upwards of $100 million. Okay. And so we partner with
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you. And so it got us to thinking, I want to start doing development locally. You know, I want to get my feet wet locally and give back to my own community. So we looked at some affordable housing opportunities, and we went after a couple, and we won it. And that's kind of where it started. It's really about knowing and having access to the opportunities and really being prepared to respond to them. Because you do have to have a team in place. You do have to have your ducks in a row, because they have to vet you. They have to be comfortable that you'll be able to do it. And that's what we did, and that's how we started the affordable housing development.
I know we've had conversations. I want to, before we end the segment, to talk about the SIP room in Fayetteville for anyone that may be watching and would like to. SIP room. Go ahead and tell the people. Go ahead and tell the people. There is something in my cup, but this is a prop, and so she wanted to let everybody know that it's empty.
But it's a good gesture. It's a good gesture.
We call that messy and petty, but
marketing.
Trying to be professional. But she had to bring in this messiness and pettiness. So I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you.
It was
I'm
Sally
leaving it at that.
Tampa's fault, and I'm messy.
Oh, the reality
Yes.
show. Blame it on them. I know we've had conversations about you helping persons with down payment assistance in the
Yes.
city programs. I'm assuming because of your economic development background and working in the inner city community, with someone with your background and the exposure that you've had, you could go after $1 million homes, things of that nature. What's your passion of making sure persons in the inner city have the right for home ownership?
All of it is a passion. My clientele is anyone from a first-time home buyer who has a very minimal budget, but approved, right? You have to be approved to be able to purchase a home, up to, I think the highest property that I sold was $12 million. To me, it doesn't matter the price point, because that's such an important purchase that it doesn't matter how much it is, it's important to that individual. I personally purchased my first home in my 20s, and I used down payment assistance. So I know how important down payment assistance is, because I think in our community, that is what prevents us a lot of times in purchasing. It's not that we can't afford the monthly bill, the mortgage, or we're not capable of taking care of the home, but that help to that down payment, and that's essential, and that's what helped propel me to my next level. And so it is a passion of mine, and I think about that every day when I'm going to the office, when I'm having calls. I'm also on the Affordable Housing Board here in the city of Tampa, and it's just a passion of mine. I want to be involved. I want people to understand that sometimes that's all it takes, and that's the reason that's my why.
That says a lot, that you're willing just to get into the trenches to help people that may not normally have that opportunity, or someone to expose them to the opportunities that they need. So finally, you have this new business in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and it's called the Sip Room.
Yes.
And I think you have a podcast as well. What's the name of your podcast?
The podcast is with my cast member, Tennille Moore. It's called Sips and Selling. We did one season of it. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do next. It was great. It was fun. And I think we are going to reinvigorate that. So that's what it is called. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Sips and Selling. But the Sip Room is something that I started with my girlfriend in North Carolina. It's a wine and champagne bar. But we just got our liquor license last week, so we're excited about that. But we serve charcuterie, we have great live music. It's in downtown Fayetteville, and if you know anyone in North Carolina close to Fayetteville, please send them there. But it's a beautiful, beautiful space. We wanted to bring a vibe. We wanted to bring something that we didn't have in downtown Fayetteville. I used to live there, so I understand the market, but I don't currently live there. My business partner does a great job in running it from a day-to-day. I'm involved from a back-end standpoint, and I love it.
Wonderful. Thank you for the amazing businesses that you are running, for being a successful Black woman, and we celebrate you this month and all of the great things that you're doing. Would you tell our listening and viewing audience how they can learn more about you, your social media handles, as well as your businesses, and how they can research you?
Absolutely. My Instagram is Joanna Colbert. My website is joannacolbert.com. The wine and champagne bar is the Sip Room NC, or the Sip Room. You can find it on Instagram, website, all of it, and Facebook, everywhere. TikTok. I don't really do TikTok, but I have a TikTok account, but yeah. But that's it. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here today, my friend. Listen, this was a great opportunity to have a conversation with Joanna Colbert with Allure Realty and the Sip Room. Find her online and support her this month for Black Business Awareness Month. Stick around. We have another special guest. And welcome back to the podcast, my friends. Today, right now, I have the incredible honor and pleasure of interviewing a gentleman that I met a few months ago, but our spirits are so kindred, as well as several things that we have in common, the Navy and ministry. But it's wonderful to connect with people that love what they do and helping other people. Today, I want to introduce you to Lieutenant Commander retired Ricardo Foster of the United States Navy. He's done so many amazing things. I want you to know that he is the president and CEO of the Infinity Aero Club Tampa Bay. It is a program that teaches aviation, STEM education, and entrepreneurship to persons of color in particular. I want to read these fun facts to you about what Lieutenant Commander Foster has done. In 2021, their organization engaged more than 3,800 young adults through STEM-focused community outreach programs. In the following year, their Aviation American Dream nationwide tour introduced careers into aviation to over 30,000 youth. In 2023, their IAC members and volunteers collaborated with a variety of for-profit and not-for-profit organizations to serve 67 venues, impacting over 21,000 young adults. Since their inception, they have positively influenced over 67,000 individuals. And by the year 2030, they're looking to impact 300,000 individuals. This is a man that believes in the power of uplifting people. No pun intended, because he's a pilot, but he believes in lifting up other people that they discover their purpose. And he's using his platform, his experience, as well as what he has experienced in life to support those through aviation and STEM. So let me introduce to you my shipmate, my good brother, Ricardo Foster. How are you, sir?
Going well. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the CDC experience, and thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing today. Would you just tell the audience just a little bit more about you?
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you for being here.
I'm Ricardo Foster. As shipmate just mentioned, I am U.S. Navy 28-year veteran. I hail from Jamaica, West Indies, and I've been in this country for a very long time. And I do believe that it's possible to get every child or adult living their dreams. And one of those dreams is to fly, dreams of flight. And then not only that, to learn a little bit about aviation and science, technology, engineering, math when it comes to STEM. And we also intern our youth for entrepreneurship, teach them the basis of starting a business and employing themselves to create wealth.
What's interesting is, let's be honest and cut to the chase. You don't see many black pilots. How does it feel to be in a community of pilots, those who are in aviation, and there's not many people that look like you? How did you handle that?
Gracefully, but it's staggering, unfortunately, but we're trying to change that one person at a time. So right now, it's a good feeling to be able to be where I am and to influence the youth who don't look like me and who look like me. And it's needed more so. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But it's been a blessing to live this dream and to teach and reach more people, to show them that they can have the confidence and they have the ability to fly and have careers in aviation and other career fields, whether it's a doctor, lawyer. STEM is involved. So that's what we teach, and we just love what we're doing. It's a passion.
Lieutenant Commander, let's back up. How did you get to this point? Tell us about your journey from Jamaica to the States, and how did you end up in the Navy?
Well, wow. Came to America when I was 11 years old. Started looking at airplanes when I was about 6, 7, got interested in that. And when I got to America, I was like, well, we're going to keep this going. And at 11, 14, I went to a high school that catered to aviation. And I kept that dream alive by going to an aviation high school. I knew I wanted to do something in aviation, so I enlisted in the military at 17 years old. And subsequently, I worked there on the aircraft carriers for about 10 years as an enlisted guy, working on the deck of aircraft carriers, shooting off the airplanes, parking the airplanes, and going to school, night school, to live that dream of one day becoming a military pilot. And subsequently, I got awarded a couple of awards, and they nominated me for a officership scholarship.
Congratulations, yeah.
And I went to the Admiral Border Seaman Admiral program, and I went to Norfolk State University, a historical black college, and they had an aviation program there where I graduated. And from there, I went off to the Navy to flight school and went there. It was amazing. I wasn't prepared. It didn't work out as well as I wanted it to be. But at the end of the day, while I was there, I learned about Christ and I gave my life to Christ. And that's how this started way back 2002, May of 2002. And so fast forward, that men of God taught me how to love the Lord and how to be a man of God. And so I went over and became a naval intel officer. And then God was just so hilarious that he brought me back to a Super Hornet squadron to be a aviation naval intel officer. So working with a F-18 Super Hornet squadron, where we were able to go all around the world and in defense of the United States. And while doing that, I got many opportunities to fly in a F-18 jet. Even though I wasn't a qualified naval aviator, I had to brief the pilots, I had to do mission planning, and doing a lot of different things I never thought I could possibly do. And I was always one of one. And so it was a challenge, like everything else. I had to be the best. And even when my best wasn't good enough, I had to keep working at it. You know that.
Yes,
so
sir.
I became good enough to promote subsequently, landed my way to being a lieutenant commander, retired out of MacDill Air Force Base, working with the Special Operations Command there. And it was a great tour, 28 years in the Navy. And so now I realize that God has my purpose and destiny to give back and share this love of aviation, this love of knowledge to others. And so I believe that every child and adult should take a flight and see how they can live their dreams. Because not only aviation teaches confidence, it teaches you how to explore the world with aviation. So you have a pilot license, you can travel to Paris, you can travel to Spain, you can travel the nation in your own airplane, and it's doable. I did it, and I'm doing it. So that's basically the short end of that story.
How I love it. As you've seen on your screen, you've seen some amazing pictures and videos of what Ricardo has done and those aviation explorations that he has been a part of. Now, shipmate, let's talk about how did you start Infinity Club, and what was that driving force to say, this is something that I want to do to give back specifically? Because you could have done a give back 501c3 for anything. Why, even though you were in aviation, you could have said, I'm tired of this, I want to do something different. What's the changing to say, I want to have a nonprofit program that specifically targets young people to teach them STEM and aviation?
Well, I just have to tell you, tell it like this. I was on the ministry field with my church, and we were door knocking. I was going through a tumultuous divorce, very, very hard. And Christ told me, stop your whining, give back. And so I started giving back. And my pastor out of Southside Baptist Church taught me how to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we went door knocking with my kids. And I mean, inside of a year, read through the Bible and shared the gospel to many people. And then I asked God, how can I bring in my other two passions of life, the business and aviation, under one roof? And so I wrote a manifesto and stepped out on that. And, you know, I really wanted to impact the world for Christ. And that's why I started Infinity Aero Club, to give back, because a lot of people were coming to me wanting to know about aviation, wanted the flights, and I would give it. But it was a passion for Jesus and just being happy to share the love of God that brought me here. We don't promote and are evangelize people in our programs. However, we do mentor them to do the right things to serve the community.
Integrity, character.
Yes,
great.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit more about the club. What happens monthly? Tell us about some of the programs that transpire that the youth can be a part of.
Well, there are a couple of programs. We just recently kicked off the Explore Aviation program, where we bring forth kids from the local high school and the inner cities to learn about rocketry, aviation maintenance.
What's rocketry?
Learning how to build spacecraft.
Okay.
And build it from a 3D printer and print it and launch it, and how aerodynamics work. from the smallest application to the largest, like Elon Musk. How does he build SpaceX? And then we teach them aircraft maintenance. We take them around the airplane, teach them how to handle that. And we teach them flight. We give them a ride in an airplane or one of our aircraft simulators or drones, and we teach them drone. A lot of the things we have found out is kids love to fly and they would want to fly. So we give them that opportunity to fly either a drone or a real airplane.
That's amazing. So, folks, if you're listening to this and you say, I would love to have my son and my daughter to be a part of this aviation program, Mr. Foster, would you share with our listening audience and viewing audience how they can get in contact with you and how often you meet?
Yes, we meet every weekend on a Saturday, but we do have an official program called Explore Aviation once a month, and the next one is 14th September. You can reach us at infinityaeroclub.org, or you can reach out to us via our social media platform and Instagram, Infinity Aero Club, or Facebook, Infinity Aero Club as well. And I don't think we have a Twitter, but we don't use it. So LinkedIn, the same, Infinity Aero Club on LinkedIn, and or just reach out to our Fly STEM phone number.
Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for giving back to our community. Thank you for allowing your passion to fuel this stage of your life. Even though you're retired, you're not. You're still working, you're still impacting other people, and the world needs you. Not only because you're a Black man, not only because you have a Black business, but because your heart is pure. Persons need that. The world is void of more pure people who give back, not looking for a return. So thank you so much for being on the CDC Experience. Thank you so much for watching this month's preview, if you will, of the CDC Experience. You can join us on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Until next time, this is Dr. Johnson signing off, and thank you for watching the CDC Experience.